You've been lied to about nutrition, and the worst part, the lies are everywhere. Your doctor's office, on food labels, even in school textbooks. Today, we're busting the top 10 nutrition myths that are quietly wrecking your energy, brain, and long-term health. We're going to be setting the record straight right now. Welcome, everybody. If this is the Life Enthusiast Health Shot Show, we are here to restore vitality to you and the planet. I'm your host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, Martin Patella, health coach at Life Enthusiast. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Scott, it's a good day. I am so impressed that you found the one time slot for this neighbor of yours to start sawing, drilling, or cutting, or whatever the heck he's doing.
It's a rule that the motorcycle that's the loudest in the neighborhood, or the guy starts pounding on the walls at the time that we want to go live.
I think you have a renovation underway in your neighborhood, right?
I don't know. It just started like this morning. So
yeah, all right. Well, it's perfect. So this is known as the rule of the what? Murphy. Anything that could possibly go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time.
I'm going to be using the mute button a lot. So what we want to do is we want to deal with some huge myths. And we're going to start with people can get all the nutrition they need from food. They're getting their vitamin D, their potassium, their magnesium, all that sort of stuff. And
everything from food. Yes, sir.
Everything from food. So that's obviously the way it is. We eat, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, back in about 1880, what they called food, we now call biodynamic, organic, natural, reproductive, or something like that food. Like we have to pile a stack of adjectives to it, because what comes as food now is grown in using industrial methods on a fertilized soil, which has been treated with herbicides, pesticides, without the replenishment of the microbes, without the replenishment of the minerals. What else is missing in that? Well, I think that's about it. The main point of that is that the food we get now is about 10% of the nutrient density that it had about 150 years ago.
Yeah, and we should say hello to George. Greetings. Good to see you. Kevin, thank you for joining us, everybody. They're all ready and raring to go. So, but what impact does all this refining that we do have on our food as well? Refined carbs or refined sugar? Surely that has no negative impact.
I suppose pizza was invented in Italy for people who worked in the fields. Right? Like in northern Italy, the Po Valley, that's where most of that's the granary of the Roman Empire. That's where they grew most of it. You would work hard in the field with hand implements, and you would be pitching heavy loads and digging and plowing, and I don't know what else they were doing. But I'm visualizing that these guys were putting out 5,000 calories a day, no problem. So they needed high calorie density food to feed them. So pizza is an example.
That high density calorie food also had high density nutrition, right? I mean, it wouldn't.
Not so much, but it's like this. I remember clearly, I was 25. I was working in a sawmill. I was lifting weights my entire shift. Yeah, I started at 7 a.m. and I was finished at 3 p.m. And I lifted tons of stuff, like physical work. The muscles on my shoulders, on my back were like so. My forearms were like this. And I sat down for my breakfast, and it was a pile, and I had to have a snack at 10, and I had to have a big lunch, and my lunch was 2 huge sandwiches, and my dinner, I could put away a 14-ounce steak, not bat an eyelid. Right?
You remind me of my uncles. They were all on the farms, and they would be throwing bales of hay all over the place, and they were as fit can be. And then when it came time to leave the farm and let the sons take over, they ballooned. There's no other way to put it, right?
Yeah, if you don't change like right now, if I eat a piece of meat, it's this big. I mean, equivalent of 1/4 pound hamburger patty. That's about my serving now.
That's all we need.
I would have 4, 5, 6 of them.
Right. Okay, so you cannot get all your nutrition from your food.
Yeah, I promise you, you cannot. The nutrient density is not there. And if you eat the style of calories, the meals that were designed for hardworking people, and you use them when you're sitting down at a computer for 8 hours or 12 hours a day, and all you do is work with your fingers, that's not a lot of physical energy.
Right. And that's the way most people are. Now, a big problem a lot of women have is osteoporosis. And of course, the best way to solve osteoporosis, according to the experts, is dump more calcium into your body so that you can have strong bones, because everyone knows bones are made of calcium.
Well, that part is true. Calcium gets deposited into the body using cholecalciferol, which is the name of vitamin D3. There is osteoblast and osteoclast. Those are the hormones, enzymes that are responsible for bringing the calcium in and taking the calcium out. And the calcium comes out to alkalize stuff in the body, and calcium comes back in when the acidity level is dropping. So this is an in and out, just like you're breathing in, out. Calcium is coming into the bone and out of the bone all the time, depending on the balance of the terrain, of the pH within the body. So inside of the nutrient balance, if you eat a diet that's acidifying for you, you'll be taking calcium out of storage to buffer the acidity that's in the fluids, in the liquid. But here's the most important thing about the bone. A bone is strengthened at the site where a muscle is attached. And it's the stress of the muscle that's pushing against the bone that's causing the hardening of the bone, the deposition of the minerals. So if you're not stressing your body by having physical activity, you are not needing the minerals in the bone. So they just don't go there. Why bother storing the minerals if you're not going to have any stress on the bones? And that's what happens to the astronauts when they are living in zero gravity. The longer they're in zero gravity, the more they lose their bone mass. Osteoporosis is one of the biggest problems when they come back.
Cool. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the sun is very, very dangerous. We always need to splash on as much sunblock as we can to prevent skin cancer.
Oof. Well, you can make things worse by applying to your skin chemicals that are in fact carcinogenic. What you need to do is you need to gradually increase the exposure to the sunlight so that you gradually increase the melanin in your skin. So it is really terrible if you burn yourself. Like getting a sunburn by overdoing it is truly detrimental to your skin.
Well, and there's also a big difference between 20 minutes in the sun and 4 hours in the sun and 12 hours in the sun.
Right. Well, whatever your dose is, I have Swedish genetics. So I turn into a lobster inside of 15 minutes on a summer day. Like I don't have a long stretch of sun exposure before I'm burnt. But
So this is why it's important to know yourself, right? Like, you know how long you can be, where you can be, and when it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah. And you need to increase your exposure gradually, and you need to train your body to it, which, of course, again, I live an indoor life. I'm an office rat, so I have to be super careful. I go to the beach, I do, but I only give myself a 15-minute because that's my limit. Tomorrow, I could do 20, except
Okay.
I don't get around to it for another month because I don't get a chance to get out.
We have a good comment from Kevin. I
Yeah.
agree. Have not used sunblock, but do take care to start with a short exposure time and then increase. And I think
Absolutely.
that's really the way to
Yeah,
do it.
gradual does it. And
so as parents, you have to watch your children, right? Like,
Yeah.
get them out in the sun, get them in, get them out in
Yeah.
the sun, get them in,
Yeah.
and give them
And
a chance to get there.
start them early in the springtime when the sun is not so bright. So that by the time the hot days of summer arrive, they have already developed the natural protection of having the melanin in the skin. They'll be suntanned. That thing is good.
Yeah. All right. So number 4 on our list, we're gonna have to go a little bit quicker if we want to get them all done
Yeah,
today.
I didn't think you can possibly make me finish it in time. Go for it.
Snack frequently to avoid overeating. And what is snacking frequently if not overeating, by the way? But anyway.
The best thing I can ever tell you is to reduce the number of meals, because thyroid dominant people, 3 meals a day, adrenal dominant, 2 meals a day, and pituitary also 2 meals a day. The adrenal love a big dinner, small lunch, 0 breakfast. And pituitary, big breakfast, small lunch, 0 dinner. And thyroid, 3 equal meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Don't snack. If you want to put on weight, that's the surest way to add calories to your world.
So we should probably jump in here with a little bit about the 18 hours fasting in a day sort of thing.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
Works best for both the pituitary and the adrenal because they can easily go with 1 meal a day. You can train yourself to be a 1 meal a day person, but if you're thyroid dominant like you and I, it's not particularly easy.
Not snacking is really, really difficult.
I tell you this, if you leave an open bag of something, call it pretzels, popcorn, potato chips, whatever, any one of those snacky things. If you leave that bag with me, I'll empty it.
Guilty as charged, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I can resist anything except temptation is how I put it. And George talks a little bit about transit time through the digestive system is important.
All right. Well, that's another story there altogether. We need to aim for about 24 hours. There should be a major evacuation of your bowel timed with about every big meal that you eat in a day. So if you eat 3 serious meals, then you should probably expect 3 bowel movements every day, which is not necessarily the norm. You go to a doctor, they'll tell you, oh, once every 3rd day is okay. It's not. And then the transit time is another thing. You can check your transit time by eating something like corn on the cob or red beets.
Yeah, I was going to say, I drink a beet juice or I eat beets. I love beets. Yeah. Man, oh man, it's like, am I bleeding out here? What's going on?
Yeah, but here's an interesting thing. If you do the corn on the cob, you will see they will be coming out empty, right? Like they're just the casings coming through. But the first ones arrive at the early time, and then you don't eat it until you see the last ones leave. And you'll be surprised that you will see, okay, say 12 hours if you're early, or 24 hours if you're a regular guy. But if they don't show up for 48, you're slow. And then if the last one doesn't show up for another 2 days later, you're really slow, stragglers.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Okay, sugar in moderation is fine. Like we should be no problem with sugar and carbs and.
Well, yeah. Refined sugar is not the same thing as raw sugar. And sugar in plants, as in fructose, is not the same thing as sucrose, which ain't the same thing as glucose and mannose and galactose and whatever. So it's complicated. But I promise you that there is no such thing as a healthy, high concentration of energy. So even the carbohydrates, which come in the form of rice, potato, or wheat, they are still high energy food, which will spike you. And here's what happens. You spike your glucose, that's followed by a spike of insulin, which converts the glucose into triglyceride, and that converts it into cholesterol and into fat, into lipids. So don't do that, because insulin's job is to make you fat, because it wants to create reserves. And the reason it does it is because you have spike in glucose. So if you want to be skinny, don't spike your glucose.
Okay.
Which
all right. So that's the next one is kind of related in that we should, the myth is we should avoid saturated fats because they clog your arteries, and a high carb diet will give you a lot less risk of heart attacks.
Yeah. Dean Ornish, bless his heart. Well, so there are these two different diets, right? The Ornish, who wants everybody to be vegetarian, and Atkins, who wants everybody to eat steak and bacon. The truth is somewhere in between, which is the genetics. Depending on who your ancestors were, the closer to the equator, the more likely you are okay with starchy foods. Like if you're in North Africa, it's dates, figs, pomegranates, camel milk, no problem. But if you're in Norway, 60 degrees north, the growing season is 90 days. And you will be eating fish and reindeer and stuff that you kill. Lots of fat, lots of meat. So the genetics will drive what you should be eating. Eat right for your metabolic type.
Right. And head over to www.life-enthusiast.com and do a search on metabolic type so you can learn about it. It's fascinating, and it's a big, big reason why I can be on the banana diet, lose a ton of weight, tell Martin he can go on the banana diet and gain weight. Like, why is it works for one and not the other? Metabolic typing is the key. And George says, I like to eat cod liver with my black rice.
George, you're the most exotic dude ever. So no, come on. Cod liver oil, awesome. The best technology ever. Well, okay, so in Thailand,
George is living to 200 years old. That's for sure.
They up in Philippines or Thailand or out there, exotic world, they will have fish sauce, right?
Yes.
In Northern Europe, they will have cod liver oil.
Yeah, I grew up on cod liver oil. My mom every day would say, come over here. She'd have a spoon and a bottle. It was a brown bottle, and she would give it to me. And I don't regret it.
You loved it.
I didn't like it at the time. No. But I mean, it wasn't because it was just because it was like oily, right? Anyway, thank you, George, for that contribution. All right. So next, number 7, whole grains are heart healthy.
Oh lordy, oh lordy. Okay, so
can't talk.
Well, let's figure this out. So whole grains, seeds, pulses, as in lentils and peas, and whole nuts, until they're sprouted, they have this protection on them called phytoestrogen. And it's like this. If a male mouse eats a lot of grains, he loses his virility and will have fewer children. Nature has this balance. Eat a lot of whole grain, lose your sex drive. Okay?
It's not good.
Boys, if you're going to eat grains or nuts or seeds or pulses, they should be soaked for 3-4 hours at minimum. Soak first, discard the soak water. That's where the hormones go, and then cook it.
You remind me, Martin, you remind me of one of the times I visited, and we're like, blah, 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 blah. And we end up in the kitchen, and you've got a bowl of almonds that you've soaked, I don't know if it was overnight or not. And we're both standing there getting the white almond,
peeling almonds.
So that you only eat the brown, you do not eat the brown stuff. You only eat the white part of the almond.
Yep.
And that's really important because that brown stuff screws up your digestion.
And so if you drink nut milks, like oat milk, rice milk, almond milk, coconut milk, those are all rich in phytoestrogens. They will take your manhood away. And they will screw up your woman too, because too much estrogen dominance has downsides. One of the biggest problems with that is dysregulation of the menstrual period, bloatiness, disagreeable, all that. And
all the things you don't like in women's behavior.
Too much estrogen will do it.
Yeah.
It drives the nervous. Yeah. It drives the nervous and hyper emotional side of the feminine characteristic.
So one thing that we don't think about or talk about enough in society is the fact that what we eat has a huge psychological impact. And we know it, like have 10 beer. How are you behaving? Not good usually, right? But we don't associate that with bread or with the carrot or too much sugar or all the rest of it, right? I see a kid now in the grocery store, he's yelling and screaming and running all over the place. It's like, oh, you were in the bulk foods and you gave him some candy, right? How did you know?
Could be candy. He's probably an oxidizer.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that's really important is to get rid of all of your friends that talk about the carnivore diet, because we should not be eating red meat. It's really bad. Grass-fed is the worst. Grass-finished is even worser. And it is nowhere near the healthiest food that you can eat.
Well, the cows fart methane, and that's causing a horrible climate change. Bah.
That was another myth.
Just last night, I was watching a deposition by a woman who's used to work for the World Bank somewhere and connected into Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan and connected here, there, and everywhere. She's a whistleblower now, and she said all at that ESG, which is social something, get along, all that promoting of the carbon healthy, whatever, all nonsense. They were lying.
I don't know how anyone could even think that too much carbon in the atmosphere is a bad thing, because you'll have plants growing like crazy, which is what we're experiencing. Sub-Sahara Desert has more plants than it's had in a few hundred years because they love the carbon. And so anyway.
Yeah, if you want carbon to come out of the atmosphere, plant trees.
Yeah. And that'll look after it. Okay, so should we eat red meat?
Oh, that. Okay, well, that depends on your genetics. So if your endocrine dominance is a good match, and if your metabolic type is a good match, then you're going to do just fine. Your ancestors were either the hunters or the farmers or the fishermen, or I don't know what other options there are, but depending on what your ancestors did, you are fully adapted to a specific diet. So yes, if your ancestors were tropicals from Malaysia or the Philippines, you can eat more on the plant side compared to the ones who were from North France or British Isles or whatever. Those were not well adapted to eating papaya.
Right. I love papaya. But as you were talking, I was thinking, if you push your mind back into like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, and then you set yourself in the Sahara Desert, there was the shepherds, they had goats, and they're running around with their goats. But if you go to North America, you had the Indians running after buffalo. Yep. And then, and you go to Scotland, you had sheep. So you can kind of think of like in the Philippines and those places, it would be fish that you
Yes.
see a lot of, right?
Yes.
So then, you can kind of tie in and say, like, why wouldn't I be eating those same things that my ancestors ate? Because
Yes.
that's what gave them their health or gave them their life. So you don't necessarily need to avoid red meat. And again, it's, know thyself. Eat a half a steak or something and see how you feel. With me, I have a slice of bread and 30 minutes later, I'm laying on the couch sound asleep. So
Because of your genetics, you are highly susceptible to knocking yourself overly alkaline with carbohydrates. That's your thing.
it's my thing. And I should do it at night when I can't go to sleep. But for some
Oh.
reason, it flips the other way and I'm wider awake.
Oh, hold on. There's the tides. The tide is most alkaline at 2 p.m., most acidic at 2 a.m. So it's the easiest thing for you to take a siesta, take 2 hours in the middle of the afternoon and be fully refreshed, and then actually wake up at 2 a.m. and work for 2 hours and then go to sleep and do the rest.
You're absolutely describing me. All right. Number 9. This is myth number 9, just in case you're wondering if I'm saying this is true. Our brains need sugar and carbs. They cannot run on ketones.
Well, the smart people run on ketones, which come from fat. So the ketogenic diet is going to actually make you smarter. Yes, your brain is a huge consumer of glucose. But if you push glucose, you end up with dementia rather than not. We're running out of time so bad.
The good news is that we don't have to go to Telegram right away. So Kevin says, me too, 30 minutes after his sandwich. Sleep around. Yeah, so we'll get together. He'll be on one couch. I'll be on the other. We'll be snoring away.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
And if you get yourself a glass of wine with it, you'll stretch it by another hour.
Oh, that is so true. Yeah. Number 10, myth number 10, restrict salt for high blood pressure. So to reduce your blood pressure.
Well, that's an interesting cascade of things. So cortisol is the hormone released in response to stress, and cortisol will cause retention of sodium. So it's the stress response that causes high sodium in your blood, which then in turn will raise your blood pressure. But it's cortisol that raises your high blood pressure because that's the fight or flight response of your autonomic nervous system. It wants you to have higher blood pressure so that you have more blood available to do the running, fighting, whatever it is that the fight or flight side of the system requires of you. So if you were to lower your stress level, you would then respond by lowering the sodium retention and lowering your blood pressure at the same time. So it's not the salt, it's the stress.
Okay.
Now the opposite is this. If you work out or if you go into a sauna, if you sweat a lot, you'll be dumping sodium. Like, remember earlier today I mentioned that I was working in a sawmill?
Yeah.
Summer time, the temperature was 9,500 degrees, and there we are just sweating like you wouldn't believe. And drinking, I would drink a gallon of water, and we had salt tablets, dispensers in the lunchroom. Everybody would go to take a drink. You would drink a whole quart of water and take a salt tablet because you were dumping salt all the time. And if you didn't eat the salt, you would get cramps.
Right. Yeah, it's really important. Cool. All right, our last one. All calories are equal.
Well, at the chemical level, yes, but not in how your body responds to it. If you are a thyroid type, calories from carbs will put weight on you, and calories from fats will make you skinny. And if you're adrenal dominant, it'll be exactly the opposite way. Carbs will not put weight on you, but fats will. Go figure. So, yeah, it looks the same on the outside, but I promise you, it's not the volume of food you eat, it's the type of food you eat that will drive this weight management issue.
Okay, so we're coming to the end. We started this with talking about the myths, and one of the first myths that we talked about was you can get all your nutrition from your food. So that's a myth. That's not true. You're not going to get it, particularly if you're eating stuff that is in the aisles of the grocery store and highly processed. It's going to make it worse. So Martin, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but just quickly, what would be a supplement? Oh, I wasn't shot. I'm fine. I don't know if you could hear that or not. But
Yeah.
it was backfiring. What would be like an ideal, like average supplement regime?
Well, I don't know about average, but that black seed oil that George mentioned, that's an awesome, awesome nutrient. So what you want to have is some sort of a high nutrient density food. We manufacture these superfoods, Exula brand. We have Powerteen for people who want to get their energy up. And we have Aurasil and Aura Max for people who want to bring their stress level down. We have Iridessa for people who want to turn everything on, and multiple choices depending on your body type. That would be my first one. And the second one would be healthy oils, healthy fats. That would be avocado, olive, coconut, butter. Those are healthy fats. But some of the seed oils are awesome. Cumin, also known as coriander. Black seed, also known as Nigella sativa. Anyway, those are the things that you want to get into your body. Flax oil, hemp seed oil, those are good ones.
So not the oils that are in a plastic bottle looking gold and beautiful on the grocery shelves for a year.
Yep. It's refined is the magical word. What they refined out of it are the things that are most healthy. The omega-3s, you need those.
Right.
And they come in that fish oil that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, a bottle of that cod liver oil is an ideal thing to have in the fridge.
Yes.
All right.
Fridge, please. Doesn't do well at room temp.
Right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Martin, for sharing your knowledge. As usual, we head over to www.life-enthusiast.com. Check it all out. I believe there's a link on the main page where you can make an appointment, talk to Martin for 15 or 20 minutes and really get a deep dive into what is your metabolic type, because I promise you, if you're eating for the wrong type, life is hard. If you're eating for the right type, man, you've got lots of energy, you've got lots of repairs going on in your body, you've got lots of health and vitality. And that, of course, is our mission, to restore vitality to you and the planet. So we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Cheers, guys.